Hey, so on last week's Music Nerd, I talked about how new media is allowing music that in the past might have been considered to be indie to experience mainstream success like never before. If you want to watch that, click over here. But let's get into this week.
Music Nerd this week.
So on last week's video, username Spartsy took it a step beyond just indie and posted a comment saying, "I like metal, yet there is no metal in mainstream media. Why is this? Do people not care for talented musicians anymore, or do they just want auto-tuned singing crappy lyrics?" Spartsy, as a fellow metalhead, your comment really speaks to me. One of my first ever shows was Cannibal Corpse. I'm a huge fan of the Black Dahlia Murder, Melvins, Behold the Arctopus. I recently interviewed Troy Sanders from Mastodon. You can check out that interview right over here. I've spent a lot of time pondering and defending the merits of metal. I think that metal is consistently among the most interesting, virtuosic, intellectually stimulating genres out there. I do share your pain. The most common complaint that I hear about metal is that people don't like rough, growly vocals. And I guess my retort to that is, if something is fast, brutal, angry, heavy, dun 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 dun, I mean, what do you expect? Tom York? But I do understand, I guess. In most pop music, the melody is carried by the lead vocalist, where in death metal, for example, you have to listen past the vocals to hear the melody. Usually it's carried by the guitar, and that's not something that most people are used to. That's not to say people couldn't get used to it. I mean, metal has been popular before and could very well become popular again, but to understand how that might happen, you have to understand how what's musically in vogue changes over time. So let's start with the last time metal was mainstream, the 1980s. I'm talking glam metal, like Poison, Rat, Motley Crue. That was the dominant musical force of its day, and it evolved from a combination of the heavier rock aesthetic from the likes of Black Sabbath, Motorhead, Led Zeppelin, and the punk rock aesthetic of just not taking yourself too seriously. Glam ruled for a decade and then was suddenly, dramatically replaced by grunge in the early 90s, a sloppy, dirty, messy, direct reaction to the overly image-conscious hair metal rockers. What's in vogue musically changes in two basic ways, either gradual evolution or sudden reaction. And I think that if metal is to emerge as a mainstream musical force again, it would need to be the latter, a sudden reaction, because frankly, I don't see Nicki Minaj evolving into anything remotely metal. Now, Spartsy, you mentioned in your comment, do they just want auto-tuned singing crappy lyrics? If you look at the last few years of music, you might think so. I mean, ringtone rap was terrible. Lady Gaga, I mean, she's interesting, but like glam rock before her, she has driven pop music to an image-conscious extreme ripe for reaction. But so far, the reaction to the overly image-conscious meat suit / wig-wearing gimmicky direction pop music has been going in as of late hasn't been anything dark or gritty or remotely metal. It's been, in a word, Adele. That is to say, a focus on raw talent stripped down to its most basic form, which is awesome, a step in the right direction, but it is still basically pop. I recognize that this is probably just wishful thinking, but the biggest reaction could be yet to come. The emergence of dubstep confirms in my mind that there is a market for something a little heavier, a little out of the ordinary, with the melody being carried by something other than a vocalist. Once we're bored with Skrillex, who knows? You know, one really well-done metal music video that goes viral could be enough to return the genre to the fore. Or not. What do you think it would take for metal to become mainstream again? Please let me know. Post a comment. Anyway, that's everything for this week. Thank you very much for watching. To watch the upload countdown, where I count down the top 5 musical uploads to YouTube every week, click over there. And to watch the other half of Music Nerd, called Number Cruncher, click over there.